So nothing major has happened with the frogs. They're getting bigger, the flies are still coming, but the most interesting things are happening out by the pond. Let's check on the frogs and we'll go and see what we can find out there. As you can see, I still have lots of flies in the tank. Even though every day when I take the lid off to feed the frogs, the flies fly out, I still find more each day. Interestingly, I did see one of the frogs catch a fly, but it immediately spat it out. I don't know why, but there must have been something it didn't like about it. So it seems the flies won't be a source of food for them. The frogs themselves seem to like hanging out just on the water's edge at the front of the tank. They are getting bigger, but there's not really much more to say about them. Remember, if you have any questions about anything you see in this series, please put them in the comment section and I'll either answer them there or I can address it in the next video. So although not much has changed in the tank, out by the pond there have been more interesting developments with the dragonflies. Let's go take a look. So I happened to notice just below the surface of the water attached to the stem of this plant was a dragonfly nymph. This is the same species as the empty casing I found last week, but this one is not an empty case, it's alive and ready for the dragonfly to emerge. As I explained last week, it can be tricky to identify species, especially for an amateur like myself, but I believe I identified this species as a southern hawker dragonfly. These nymphs are ambush predators that eat aquatic insects and tadpoles and will even take fish, although there are none in this pond. They will emerge as adults towards the end of June through to August, and amazingly they will have lived in the pond as nymphs for 3 years. When I returned to the pond a while later, I found the nymph had climbed the stem and was well on the way to emerging. Final stage larvae sit in shallow water near the surface for several days, getting ready for their final molt and starting to breathe air. Most species leave the water during the morning, but hawkers usually do so under the cover of darkness. This raises the possibility that I've misidentified the species, or this particular dragonfly is unusual, as this was happening around 3:30 PM. The sequence of events in a usual dragonfly emergence is as follows. First, the larva leaves the water and attaches itself to vegetation. The adult then breaks slowly through its larval skin, the head and thorax exiting first through the hole just in front of the wing sheaths. There follows a resting period to allow the legs to harden, during which the adult hangs down. This is the stage we see our dragonfly at, and this typically lasts about 30 minutes. When the legs have hardened sufficiently, the adult reaches up and grabs its larval case, called an exuvia, and eases its abdomen free. Body fluids are then redistributed and used to pump up the wings and abdomen. When fully expanded, the adult is about twice as long as the larval skin. After a further hour or so, the wings, though still reflective, have hardened sufficiently for the young adult to take its first flight. The entire process can take up to about 3 hours. Newly emerged adult dragonflies, known as tenorals, are a pale green colour at first, with only hints of the final adult patterning. Their wings remain very reflective for a couple of days, and the flight is weak and fluttery. As the body and wings harden off, they begin hunting for food whenever fine weather permits. They spend about a week, depending on the weather, feeding away from water, and gradually acquire adult coloration and sexual maturity. The adult life expectancy is short, probably only living as long as a week or 2. Unfortunately, I was unable to capture any more footage of this dragonfly, but I did find another emerged dragonfly who was at a later stage of development. Well, that's all I have for you this weekend. I really do hope you've enjoyed the video. Please make sure you come back next Sunday for the next episode in the series. This series is definitely becoming towards the end because the frogs, they're not changing much. There's not really much more I can do. I am running out of things to tell you about them. But as long as I find other interesting things like these dragonflies, I will definitely bring you more footage. There will probably be another 3 episodes in this series, and then I think it will be ending at that point. So hopefully we'll be able to find some more interesting things. If you have anything that you would like to know, please leave comments down in the comment section, any questions you have, any feedback you've got, and also you can join my Discord server. There's a link in the description of this video, and there's a section in there for anybody who can share pictures or comments or anything in there of anything you've got. Maybe you've got your own frogs, maybe you've seen your own dragonflies, anything like that. You can share them with me and everybody else on the Discord server. That would be really good if you would do that. So check the links in the description. There's also my Twitter there and my Patreon account if you're feeling generous as well. So thank you so much for watching. I do hope you've learned something, and I will see you next Sunday for another episode of Frogwatch. Goodbye.